Emily Roquette, and you're watching Amplified.
So my name is Annie Grace, and I wrote the book This Naked Mind, and turned that book in kind of a coaching program and a movement, and just help people really overcome the chains of alcohol addiction.
And what's the backstory with that? What inspired you to write this book?
So when I was about 26 years old, I didn't drink much, and I moved to New York City, and I wasn't showing up at happy hours, and my boss took me aside and he's like, Annie, why aren't you coming to the happy hour? And I was like, oh, I don't really drink. And he's like, it's not about that. Like, the happy hour is like the golf course. This is where the deals are done. This is where things are happening. And so I was like, all right. I didn't know much about, alcohol one way or another. Didn't even realize it was addictive at the time. But I was really serious about my career in marketing. So I was like, all right, I'm going to show up. Had a method, glass of wine, glass of water, keep myself, level-headed. And then fast forward a decade, I was global head of marketing. I'd done really well in my career, in charge of 28 countries, flying all over the world, and drinking close to 2 bottles of wine a night. And there were just moments in my life where I never really had a rock bottom experience, but I remember one time my son coming up to me, and I wanted him to sit on my lap, and he's basically said, oh, your teeth are purple and you smell funny. And it was just one of those things where like, okay, this isn't who I set out to be. Yeah. And really started to consider, okay, well, what does this look like? But I knew I wasn't an alcoholic. I didn't need to go to meetings. Right. I just needed to, get a handle on this. And I formed a theory that basically my conscious mind wanted to stop drinking or drink a lot less, but I had this deep-seated subconscious conditioning that alcohol was key to relaxation and having a good time, and these things were at odds. So I said, well, what if I could solve that? What if I could look at my subconscious conditioning and rewire my thinking around this? And so I spent a years-long research, did that. At the end of the year, walked out of my office, I'm not drinking again. And my husband's like, what? I can't believe that, that's crazy. Didn't believe me, but that was almost 5 years ago now. And after that, I was like, oh my gosh, other people need this. They need this message. So I actually just put out a bunch of journals online, and it was hilarious because I didn't even know that you needed to get an opt-in, so I just put a PDF on a website.
And you're just giving it away.
Just gave it away.
You truly were giving away the value.
Yeah, so I had 20,000 downloads in 2 weeks. Wow. And I started getting letters from all over the world just saying this changed my life, this is incredible. And then something incredible happened, sort of very terrifying, is my job said I needed to move to London. That's where they were headquartered. And we'd kind of been traveling a lot, but not moving over there. And I was like, okay, well, I have this thing that I really feel passionate about now. So what if I don't move to London? What's gonna happen? And they were like, well, we give you a severance package. And so I talked to my husband. I was like, okay, we could get the severance package and we could just go all in on this idea. Yeah. And he supported me in that, which was incredible and terrifying. And we basically had 3 months runway. We had to make it work. And the reality is it's really hard to make things work like that. Yeah. And so, long story short is I was trying everything. I remember trying the video series I had launched a coaching course, which is a video-based coaching course. Mm-hmm. The people I was putting through the course were having phenomenal results, nothing I've ever seen, lives changing all the time. But I couldn't get more people in it. I could get 4 or 5 people in it, a month if I was really lucky. And that was with tons of blogging, tons of podcasting, all this stuff. But I couldn't get more than that in it. And so it was in, I think, 2016 that I was just Thanksgiving on the web, and there was a Black Friday sale for Funnel Hacking Live. I was like, okay, I think I want to do this. And we didn't have the money for plane tickets, so we live in Denver, we drove from Denver to Dallas. And I was 7 months pregnant. So I spent the entire time in the car, super uncomfortable, went to Funnel Hacking Live in 2017. And within literally the first presentation when Russell was on stage, I was like, oh my gosh, this is the guy. This is the person who knows all the stuff, who's always going to be ahead of this game. And he is going to be able to help me reach all the people. And so we decided to, really scrape together and just went kind of all in on Russell and ClickFunnels, and ended up joining the inner circle at Funnel Hacking Live 2017, which was incredible and you can't even do anymore. So I was so lucky to get in.
Yeah. So fast forward, just a couple years later, you're here earning a TUCAMA award for your business, which means it's clearly done really well. What are some of the tactics outside of up-leveling with a mentor like that helped you go from really struggling and only getting a few people into your program to where you are now?
Yeah, absolutely. So right after Funnel Hacking Live, we had our first Inner Circle meeting, and he's like, okay, you have to double down on the perfect webinar. I was like, all right. So I spent all this time. Funnel Hacking Live was in February, Inner Circle was in April. May 17th, I had written my webinar, and he says, do it live once every single week for a year. But I was 40 weeks pregnant, so I couldn't do it live, so I recorded it. And so May 17th, I recorded my perfect webinar. I put it live on Facebook. May 21st, I had the baby. And then literally immediately, while I was in the hospital, people started coming to my course and coming to my course and coming to my course. And I started doing 100 people a month, 200 people a month, just right out of the gate. And it was absolutely incredible because all of a sudden, my biggest problem was customer service. How do I keep up with like all the inquiries and feedback and thank you letters and stuff like that? And everything changed. And I think, the pressure of being in a financially insecure place. I was actually talking to Russell recently, and he said, one of my big missions is to release people from being in that really financially insecure place where they can't focus on their bigger mission, put them in a financially secure place so that all of a sudden you're not thinking about the finances and you can just think about the people and you can just think about giving back. And that's been so true in my life. And now we're in a situation where all we're thinking about is like how to change the world with this movement and how to make this something that like really changes how America talks about alcohol and globally how we talk about alcohol. And that just wouldn't be possible if, that financial piece hadn't come into play and, very quickly with that funnel was able to get so many people in, so many lives changed.
That's great. So how does it feel to be here at this event and receiving your award when just a couple of years ago you had to drive all the way while pregnant just to be able to make it to the conference?
Oh, it's really hard to put it into words. I think that like the level of gratitude I have for the fact that, especially seeing Russell on stage and knowing that things didn't work immediately for him and he had to go through so much pain and so much sacrifice and, talking to his wife about how much he was absent in the early days and how long hours he worked and like the fact that they just went all in on his dream allows me to go all in on my dream. And so there's just so much gratitude because I feel like, This Naked Mind as a movement wouldn't really have gotten off the ground without Russell Brunson and ClickFunnels.
Yeah. Where can we find you if we want to learn more and if we want to get your book?
Yeah, absolutely. So thisnakedmind.com, or I also have a free challenge at alcoholexperiment.com. So it's a 30-day dip a toe, no strings attached. Yeah. Just interrupt your patterns and see if life is better not drinking for 30 days.